So it's been a rough go for my Red Sox as of late. Coming into the year, there were plenty of expectations after signing Alex Bregman, trading for Garrett Crochet, and other moves to improve the roster. But as of right now, they're only 27 and 29. They've been incredibly inconsistent, and they just lost their best player, Alex Bregman. With managers like Brandon Hyde, Derek Shelton, and Bud Black recently getting fired, could the same fate happen to Alex Cora? Well, first off, let's go over the reasons why it wouldn't happen. Now, he just signed a 3-year deal this past offseason, and I'm going to point out that that hasn't prevented managers in the past from getting fired. The most recent example was David Bell, who signed a 3-year contract extension with the Reds during the 2023 season, but he was fired at the end of the 2024 season. There was Charlie Montoyo for the Blue Jays, who signed a new contract at the beginning of the 2022 season and had a couple of club options with it, but he was let go 3 months after signing the contract. There was also Freddie Gonzalez for the Braves back in May of 2016 after signing a new contract that prior season. Now, granted, the team started 9 and 28 that year, but still. Then there was Mike Redmond for the Marlins, who got a new 3-year contract at the end of 2014, but he was let go in May of 2015. So overall, different situations here, but pretty similar. Now, for other reasons why there's a good chance this won't happen is because Cora is loved by many people in the front office. He's built a lot of good relationships with the players. And of course, he won the World Series for them back in 2018, and he helped lead the team back to the ALCS in 2021 after coming back from his suspension. And even if the Red Sox were to go this route, is there even a better option at this point? There is bench coach Ramon Vasquez, who managed the Red Sox in a couple of games this season while Cora was out, and the Red Sox actually did win both of those games. But remember, he was brought in with Cora back in 2021 because he's a Cora guy. Would there really be much of a change long term? Who knows? There's also former Red Sox catcher and current game planning and run prevention coach Jason Varitek. Now, he's been in line for a couple of manager jobs before, but he hasn't gotten hired, and the Red Sox just switched up his job this past offseason, so I'm not sure if that would be the right move at this point. There's also Chad Tracy, the manager down in AAA for the Woo Sox, but that's probably not the best idea to take him out of AAA, considering they're more focused on development there. Now, if there were to be a change, I would have to think the bench coach Ramon Vasquez would be the guy. Now let's get into the reasons why there might be a change. Now, first and foremost, you can simply just look at the record, which is worse than what it was at this same point last year, even after bringing in a lot of talent this past offseason. But if you want to go a bit deeper, the first thing to look at are the managerial decisions so far this year. The most recent example was pinch running for Carlos Narvaez. Now, late in the game, the Red Sox were down 2-0, but after Carlos Narvaez got on with a base hit to give the Red Sox a couple of base runners, Cora sent in Connor Wong to pinch run, taking out Narvaez, who was the number 3 hitter in the lineup that day, and he's been hitting great as of late. Now, sure, I understand wanting to put on a faster runner to try and help tie the game, but the last thing the Red Sox need to be doing right now is taking out one of their best bats in the lineup when one of your best hitters, Alex Bregman, is on the shelf, especially for someone who's hitting under 150 and doesn't even have an RBI on the year in Connor Wong. Now, later on in the 9th inning, the Red Sox had the bases loaded with 2 outs, but the Brewers intentionally walked Rafi Devers, and up came none other than Connor Wong. He then proceeded to pop out and end the game. There was also another moment in Detroit not too long ago when the Red Sox had a 9-7 lead in extra innings. Now, they used a lot of their bullpen that game, but instead of going with an experienced closer in Liam Hendriks to close the game out, they sent out Greg Weissert again for a second inning of work, who had just allowed the Tigers to tie the game the inning prior before Christian Campbell hit a go-ahead home run. Javier Baez then proceeded to hit a walk-off home run. Now, Cora after the game cited that after Hendriks, there was no one else in the bullpen to turn to, which is true, but when you have a 2-run lead, you got to try and win that game. And with Liam Hendriks, sure, he hasn't been the same guy in the last few years, having injuries, and he's still trying to work his way back. This is a guy that's closed out many games in the past, and with a 2-run lead against a postseason contender like the Tigers, you got to do what you can to win that game. And if worse comes to worse, let's say you bring in Liam Hendriks, he ends up giving up the tying run, then you just figure it out from there. There was also a moment in Toronto at the beginning of May. The Red Sox had a lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Blue Jays had runners on 2nd and 3rd with Vlad Jr. coming up, but instead of just walking him with first base open to face a struggling Anthony Santander, they decided to pitch to him, and of course, he hit a go-ahead home run. There was also taking Garrett Crochet out of his start early recently. Even though the bullpen had been used heavily in recent games, they decided to take Crochet out at only 85 pitches, and then Liam Hendricks and Brennan Bernardino proceeded to give up 3 runs, leading to a Red Sox loss. On top of all this, there was everything going on with Rafael Devers recently and how Cora was seeming to side with him on not playing first base. Now, after first baseman Tristan Casas went down with a knee injury that ended his season, Red Sox president of baseball operations Craig Breslow asked Rafi if he would be willing to play first base. Rafi didn't like the idea of doing that after they moved him from third base to DH in spring training after signing Alex Bregman, but right away, Cora basically defended Rafi, stating that he was the DH and he wouldn't be moving to first base, saying that he was comfortable in the DH spot. But that says to me that he seemed more focused on catering to Rafi instead of putting the best possible team out there. DH could have been opened up for, say, a returning Masataka Yoshida or a Roman Anthony call-up. So to me, that just felt a little off. And I think that also says that there may have been a bit of a disconnect with Alex Cora and Craig Breslow. It even got to the point where Rafi was questioning Craig Breslow's decisions, and that even made the owner, John Henry, fly out to Kansas City to talk to him. There are also some reports that players within the clubhouse didn't like this, and I think it's fair to say that some players would think it would be best to do that for your team because, again, it would open up DH to get other guys some playing time, some at-bats, like Masataka Yoshida or Roman Anthony. He did have to move from third base to DH in spring training, and sure, he has been hitting great as a DH, but he doesn't have Alex Bregman behind him right now for protection, so maybe opening up another spot in the lineup could go a long way. Even with all that, though, let's say you can defend all of the moves that I mentioned. Could it simply be time for a new voice in the clubhouse? Now, the Red Sox over the years have gone around the same amount of time for managers. Terry Francona from 2004 to 2011, John Farrell from 2013 to 2017. Both those guys won World Series for the Red Sox. Terry Francona brought a couple to Boston. John Farrell won in 2013. But sometimes that voice just runs out. Sometimes maybe that voice just isn't clicking anymore, which is what happened to Terry Francona and John Farrell. With Terry Francona, he's a legend in Boston, but if you go back to the end of his tenure in Boston, guys are eating chicken and beer in the clubhouse and didn't seem fully invested in supporting the team. And then if you go to John Farrell, there were reports that players just weren't really connecting with him anymore. They weren't really having a lot of success in the postseason, so it was simply just time for the Red Sox to move to a different manager. And maybe the same thing could be happening with Alex Cora, perhaps after not winning consistently, even after a good offseason, along with all the Rafael Devers drama, that maybe the culture in the clubhouse isn't at its best. Now you got to remember, Cora came into a stacked team in 2018, and he was able to motivate younger players like Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, Rafi, and he could also connect with veterans like JD Martinez, Chris Sale, and David Price, but it's not 2018 anymore. Since then, his record is only a little over 500. Most of those players have come and gone. There's been a lot of transition with the Red Sox, a lot of turnover, both in the front office and with the players in the clubhouse, and there's been a lot of down seasons since then, and there just seems to be a bit of a disconnect between Cora and the front office. It honestly may just be a thing where perhaps with this group, him and perhaps others in the coaching staff aren't quite connecting with these players. Now, they added a lot of talent this offseason, but they're worse at this point than they were last year. Speaking of the coaching staff, I think you could look at the other parts there as well, like hitting coach Peter Fatsi. Now, the Red Sox this year lead the major leagues in swing percentage, but also rank in the top 10 in strikeout percentage, while seeming to have an inability to put together consistently good offensive performances. Perhaps maybe going in a different direction could help here, and again, maybe just getting new voices could be what this team needs. In the end, though, even if removing Cora based off his ability is a bad move in itself, because he has proven to be a successful manager, sometimes making a change and getting a new voice in the room is just what a team needs. Who knows if that's the case here, but it'll be interesting to pay attention to the Red Sox if they don't get it turned around. Now, I will say this. For me personally, as a Red Sox fan, I'm not ready to jump on the fire Alex Cora train just yet. I still think he connects well with the players, and he has proven to be successful in Boston. And another thing as well, even though the offense has been inconsistent, they do rank 10th overall in WRC+, and sure, even though Bregman's out right now, they do have some reinforcements in Marcelo Meyer, who they just called up, and the number one prospect in baseball, who I just mentioned earlier, in Roman Anthony. So I'm going to wait and see if this offense can stabilize itself over time. And if Alex Bregman comes back and the offense is doing fine, well, that's going to be even better. They've also had some injuries in the rotation with Walker Buehler and Richard Fitz recently, and with Crochet being Crochet, I expect the rotation to even out over time, and the bullpen does rank 5th overall in Fangraph wins above replacement, so in the end, I'm going to give this some more time. But everybody, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think the Red Sox need to fire Alex Cora? Do you think they need to go in a different direction? Do you think maybe they just need to make some moves with the roster? Let me know what you think the Red Sox need to do. But everybody, that's all I got for right now. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.